Imagine a Minecraft world where the villagers are actually intelligent. Well, this is that world. However, it wasn't always like that, and so our story begins on a sunset like any other. Son of Testificate Jr., young Testificate Jr., or Junior Squared as he was known, was playing around in the grass, happy and free. Well, that was until he arrived. They called him Steve, and he quickly began to plunder the village, stealing crops, and he was chasing after Junior Squared's father? However, before Little Squared could notice this and save his beloved father, the other villagers noticed the pillagers on the horizon. Young Junior Squared was ordered to just
run away. But what about my... No.
The other villagers shook their head in disapproval and just directed Junior Squared to keep on running. It was too late to save him. There was nothing he could do. Junior Squared had wandered far, eventually finding refuge in another village. But peace was an illusion. Every day he was forced to work from dawn till dusk. No breaks, no respite, just endless toil in the fields and workshops. And when night fell, things got even worse. The dead would rise, zombies knocking at the doors, skeletons lurking in the shadows. Sleep became a rare luxury. Every so often the pillagers would return because why not? And they would raid with meticulous precision. No wall was high enough, no iron golem was fierce enough. Food was scarce, tools were always breaking, and homes were little more than cramped huts. Survival was their only goal. And even that felt kinda uncertain. Junior Squared, once filled with dreams and hopes, now felt trapped in a cycle of suffering. Day after day, year after year. One night, exhausted and empty, he looked around at the cracked walls of his tiny home. He saw just the one slice of bread that he had worked so hard for. That was all he had. And in that quiet, bitter moment, a thought gripped him.
All this suffering for what? A little bit of bread? And a tiny hand? What's the point?
The weight of it hit him all at once. The society wasn't just struggling, it was broken, weak, vulnerable, caught in a loop that would only end in ruin. And for the first time, Junior Squared realised they had to change, or else they would perish. And so that very night, whilst the other villagers cowered away in their homes, hiding from the moans of the zombies, Junior Squared lay awake. This time, he wasn't afraid, but instead, he got thinking. His mind raced. Why do they always build the same walls? Why do they always plant the same crops? Fight the same battles? Make the same mistakes? He started to look up at the stars, and for the first time wondered, is there a better way? A spark of intelligence awoke inside him. If their old ways had only led them to suffering, then perhaps the answers weren't more walls or more endless work. But instead, smarter solutions were needed. Some new ideas, perhaps. And so the next morning, driven by this new hunger for understanding, Junior Squared sought out the cleric, the old healer, keeper of potions and rituals. Not because of magic though, but because the cleric was the only one in this entire village who experimented, who tested things, who tried to observe some cause and effect. And so Junior Squared went up to him and he proposed something radical.
What if we stop reacting, and instead start investigating, learning, experimenting, thinking, try something new, you know?
Now at first the cleric just dismissed him.
Stop wasting time with these silly ideas. No, get back to work. That's how we survive.
But Junior Squared wasn't having it, and so he pressed on, laying out questions, ideas, patterns that he had noticed. The cleric, kind of annoyed at Junior Squared at this point, just wanted him to leave and to keep quiet. However, Junior Squared wasn't backing down, and so the cleric just decided,
why not? Junior Squared is clearly wrong.
So maybe him seeing all of his plans failing will just get him away from the cleric, and give him some peace. And so, reluctantly, the cleric began to tinker, along with Junior Squared helping along. But not with their weapons, but with their knowledge. They tested potions, measuring their effects, noting variables. They broke down old tools, trying to understand why they worked.
And, maybe Junior Squared was onto something.
They were learning a lot, and this was proven by far the most when they turned to redstone. Now, redstone is this strange glowing dust that had only really been used for some simple potion extensions at that time. I mean, it's just a little red powder, what else can it do? However, when they experimented on this redstone thing, slowly, they uncovered the truth. Redstone could carry power, transfer energy, and activate mechanisms. This was their first true discovery, one rooted not in tradition, but rather in knowledge earned through logic and observation. Their first step from instinct-driven survival to intelligent progress. They weren't just opening doors, they were opening possibilities. For the first time ever, villagers could control their world with just the push of a button. And so they used these same principles of redstone mechanics to power their first machine, a piston that could move blocks without a villager's hard work and involvement. Yeah, just a press of a button was enough. And it worked. Junior Squared's heart raced. This wasn't magic, this wasn't luck. This was knowledge. And this could change everything. Just like the subscribe button could change everything for you. Now, Junior Squared and the cleric didn't stop with just one machine. No, obviously not. Because what began with just a simple piston evolved into more ambitious ideas. They began asking themselves,
how can we use this redstone energy thing to solve real problems? Can we apply this new knowledge to anything?
Their first challenge? Food. It was always in shortage, and it was always a source of suffering for the villagers. And so together they worked hard, and they designed an automatic farm powered by redstone. A system that could till soil, plant crops, and harvest them, all with the push of a button. This wasn't magic. No, it was the product of careful thought, observation, and trial and error. The villagers, initially skeptical, could only watch in awe as crops were harvested faster than ever before. Food that once had to be carefully rationed now grew in abundance. There was no need for endless hours in the field anymore. They had just discovered industrialization. And so, obviously, Junior Squared didn't stop there. This was just the beginning. Energy. They were going to need more of that. The redstone-powered machines were wonderful, but they were limited. And so they began studying what made redstone so special. What did they really know about this strange material? What was it capable of? Could they improve it? Could they harness it in new ways? Yes, they could, as they devised new systems of power, not just for farming crops, but for farming the resources needed to make these powerful machines. And soon, these machines would transform their towns. Because cities began to spring up, not through brute force, but through careful design, built on the principles of efficiency and intelligence. Machines ran everything. Automated farms, automated workshops, powered homes, endless water supplies, and safety systems. The once chaotic and hard life of a villager was now streamlined, ordered, and methodical. Buildings no longer needed to be built by hand, stone by stone, brick by brick, wood by wood. Rather, redstone-powered machines could carve entire buildings from the earth, moving blocks with precision and speed. Villagers no longer needed to fear pillager raids. Even the monsters who once attacked under the cover of night now found themselves outwitted by the intellect of the villagers. Living standards soared, gone were the cramped huts, replaced now by spacious homes powered by redstone. Villagers no longer lived in fear of food shortages or dangerous attacks. With the power of redstone, they had not only survived, they had thrived. They didn't just have more, they had better, and things were only improving. life was pretty good. And yet, despite all these successes, there was still something missing from Junior Squared. And so Junior Squared returned to his childhood home. The small house where he had played, laughed, and lived had been replaced by a massive, soulless factory. Machines hummed where his father had once worked the land, and the familiar landscape was gone, turned into a cold, mechanized wasteland. The villagers were richer, yes, but in a way they had also become more emotionally hollow. No longer did they cherish simple joys or meaningful connections. The machines did everything for them, leaving their lives devoid of purpose. Yes, they lived in luxury, but there was a growing sense of emptiness. They could have anything they could want, but it still felt like something essential was missing from their lives. The rise of intelligence had led them to new heights, but it had also exposed a darker truth.
What's the point? What's the purpose in all of this? Why are we doing it?
Junior Squared was haunted by a personal grief. He remembered those old days of suffering and he didn't like it. But was this any better? What had he truly built? Was his grand vision, his dream, really worth the cost? Well, for now, there were no answers. Only silence. But even as the cracks in their world grew wider, Junior Squared refused to let go of his dream. He had once believed that intelligence could solve all their problems. And it did. And yes, while it had created some new issues, he still believed that knowledge and greater development was the solution here. That would help them. Now, with all the advantages that intelligence had brought them thus far, a new purpose, a new way of life, well, that too could be achieved by the villagers. In fact, they could do that better than any other being before them, as now they had laid the foundations for something greater: academies, places where the villagers could gather, learn, experiment, and explore the unknown together. For now, it was the mission of the villagers to understand everything in the world. That was their meaning. And so to begin with, they turned their gaze towards the stars. Astronomy became a major field of study. Villagers built telescopes and observed the night sky, seeking to answer questions about the universe. They learned about the stars, their patterns, and the vastness of the world beyond. Next came biology. The villagers studied the plants, the subscribe buttons, the animals, and the very atoms that made up their world. With this knowledge, they began to optimize their farms even further, learning how to grow crops in ways that were more sustainable and more efficient. They were able to discover new species of plants and animals. Their society, now enriched by knowledge and powered by science, blossomed even further, with free trade, science, and innovation continuing to thrive. The villagers found themselves with more opportunities than ever before. They could choose their paths, their careers, their futures, and they did so with a new sense of purpose, knowing that they were part of something greater than just their city or their machines. There was deep philosophical discovery and intellectual journeys to go through. Junior Squared, once burdened by doubts, now saw the true power of intelligence. They had come a long way, and luckily, this was only just the beginning. Junior Squared knew that the best was far yet to come, something that was demonstrated to him by the further research into Redstone history, learning more about this strange substance that powered their world. Well, it yielded the most incredible discovery. The villagers realized that the redstone that they had been using to power their machines, well, it wasn't a recent invention at all. It was an ancient technology, left behind by an unknown civilization. This revelation changed everything. It meant that the villagers were not the first to harness the redstone's powers. Something had come before them. And yet, somehow, despite that, they had gone extinct.
Hold up. If they died out, then they used redstone. We need to figure out why. We can't repeat their mistakes. I thought that using this red zone would lead us to eternal life of our species. But evidently, that's not the case.
And so, determined to learn more and protect their species, Junior Squared and his colleagues ventured into the far corners of the world, searching for clues about the origins of this mysterious technology. And one day, they made a groundbreaking discovery. This world was far older than they had ever believed. And in fact, if they could only learn its age, well, maybe then could they push themselves into a whole new era of prosperity. One that could even last forever for their species. Hopefully, unlike their predecessors. And so, watch this video, and you can learn how old the Minecraft world truly is. It's the knowledge that the villagers need to uncover.